Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Robo Celestial here with a new video for you. Welcome to What If Deku Had Perfect Combo Part 6. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. Looking down at a shriveled up and severely burnt All Might, Izuku begins to break down again from the sight of what he caused, but Midoriya stops his mourning when he notices faint breathing and movement coming from the symbol of peace. Realizing that the number one hero is still alive, Izuku shouts joyously about it, catching everyone off guard, especially Shigaraki, whose arms begin to twitch from raw anger. And as he tries to move his limbs, Tamura raises his voice, saying, "Damn it, what is it going to take to kill this bastard? Let's try this again, and this time don't fail me." Kaken abruptly interrupts Shigaraki's order by propelling himself forward with a number of explosions, and then discharges a barrage of blasts onto Namu, which creates a force strong enough to push Shigaraki off his feet, leaving the beast to remain motionless as it withstands the assault. While attacking, Bakugo calls out to Izuku, telling him to stop lazing about and to do something to make a dent against this thing now, which Ryu in turn prepares to lend a hand when he realizes that his fire won't be enough on its own. So he stops to quickly figure out how to permanently defeat such an abomination. This is when Midoriya remembers what Todoroki's quirk is and hastily asks him to throw in his fire to get rid of the Namu, but Todoroki hesitates, absolutely repulsed by the idea of using his fire, granting Tamura enough time to give an order for his pet to eliminate everyone there. With this command, Namu right off the bat backhands Kaken into the ground, shattering it upon impact and knocking him out like a light in an instant. As Bakugo lays in the crater, Namu quickly lifts up its foot and moves to slam it down on Kaken to crush him, leading Todoroki to send waves of ice over to freeze the beast in reaction, slowing it down ever so slightly in the process. While everyone else scrambles to rescue Kaken however they can. During this, as Izuku watches on, time seemingly stands still for him, with his mind racing frantically at the events unfolding in front of him, causing flashes of Ryu's life to speed through his head, where he remembers everything, both good along and bad, from his past, the friendship him and Bakugo have, the inspiration All Might gave him, the friends he's made at UA, the day his quirk first awoken, the negative ways people have looked at him for his power, and the fear of his own power are the hardest-hitting moments Izuku recalls, but none can compare to what he did to All Might or the potential end of his best friend, which is driving his mind to race even faster. This leads Midoriya to think of his dream and the promises he's made throughout the years, both to himself and others, which continue to play over and over in his head. More than anything, Izuku has strived to become a hero, not for fame or money, but to protect others even if it costs him his life, and he knew that if he didn't do something now to stop this, then everyone here would perish because of him. Something that Ryu refuses to let happen. Izuku's body begins to heat up rapidly as his despair and sadness turns into a burning determination to save the lives of his classmates, teachers, and friends from a brutal demise at the hands of an abomination, no longer letting his fear or anything else hinder his power. Quickly, Midoriya prepares to attack by taking a deep breath. But at this point, as Su was about to grab Bakugo, Namu manages to effortlessly break out of the ice and continues to move its foot down towards Kaken too fast for anyone to react, except for one. Without skipping a beat, Ryu uses up all the energy he has left to exhale a scorching emerald inferno blast, with flames hotter than anything he's ever produced before, and shoots it straight at Namu, while also compressing the stream of fire as it travels to add even more strength to the attack. With all these factors, when the blaze hits Namu directly, it's powerful enough to not only knock the beast some distance from Bakugo, but the flames also immediately engulf and begin to burn away some of its body to ash. Though Ryu has reached well over his limit in terms of breathing fire, he's still able to press on, controlling the intense flames with movements of his hands, swirling the fire all around Namu to create what is essentially a spinning flaming vortex to trap it and to keep chipping away at it. Unfortunately, despite its condition and constant bombardment of harm dealt to it, the monstrosity begins to move through the firestorm, making easy headway at first, but once Izuku speeds up the movement of his fiery tornado and manipulates it more to increase the pushback, he's able to slow it down significantly, but Namu continues to move forward slightly with each passing second. Meanwhile, as all of that happens, Shigaraki breaks into a rage and charges towards Izuku, ignoring all his pain to erase the pyro, but Kirishima jumps in to hold off Tamura. At the same time, Su grabs Bakugo, while Minto along with Kaminari pick up All Might and also grab Aizawa on their way past, carrying the injured away from the battle by heading up to the main gate where the rest of the class is, resulting in Midoriya, Kirishima, and Todoroki being the only ones left in the main plaza to fight. Back in the fray, as Tamura and Kirishima continue to brawl, Shigaraki is able to endure the excruciating pain in his burnt arm to use decay. But thanks to all of his injures, Tamura's quirk is weakened enough to barely do anything against Kirishima's hardening except for weakening his defenses slightly. Though it doesn't go on for much longer, with Todoroki stepping in with another surge of ice to freeze Shigaraki's whole body, leaving him immobile with only his head unfrozen. After this, Shoto and Kirishima look over at Izuku as he's progressively whittling down Namu, which is still sluggishly encroaching closer to Ryu regardless of the massive inferno on top of it. With him both overheated to a dangerous point and beginning to have the onset of mental fatigue, Izuku panics, knowing he's nowhere close to destroying the creature or even has enough time left to do so. Ryu yells to Todoroki with an exhausted, panicked tone. To Todoroki, hurry up and throw your fire at this thing. I won't be able to keep going much longer, and if we don't stop it here then we're in trouble. Shoto stares at Izuku, then down at his hand, reluctant to use his left side, catching Midoriya's attention and slightly confusing him, but due to all the stress, Izuku just snaps at Todoroki, shouting, "Look, I don't know what's going on with you. It's clear there's something wrong, but you need to put that all aside and use your power now, just like I'm doing. If you won't do it for me or yourself, then do it for your classmates and their lives. Do what a hero would do and help save everyone here." View's outburst is able to bring Todoroki out of his stupor and finally gets him to activate his fire. When Todoroki emits an immense force of flames from his left side, he immediately throws massive blasts of fierce blazes at the Namu, in hopes that it will increase Izuku's attack. However, the two different infernos initially negate one another, but Ryu fixed this issue by maneuvering his fire in a way that allows both of their infernos to hit Namu at the same time. Now that Shoto's power is working in tandem with Ryu's, the Namu's movement halts completely as it burns away into nothing, bit by bit at an accelerated rate, but Izuku decides to breathe some more flames to speed this along. All of this creates a traumatic increase in heat for the surrounding areas, which help to melt Shigaraki out of his ice prison in about 5 seconds. However, by the time Tamura is completely free, his wonderful anti-symbol of peace is nothing but charred dust on the floor. With his best chance of victory gone, Shigaraki is left standing there speechless, as his rage brews inside of him. All the while, upon realizing that they've reduced the creature to barely anything, Todoroki ceases his attack alongside Izuku, who disperses his flaming vortex, giving them both a chance to breathe a sigh of relief. Though before anything else could happen, Ryu passes out from pure exhaustion as Kurogiri, on the other hand, regains consciousness and looks around to comprehend what happened while he was out. After some time, Kurogiri notices a pile of charred remains, which he infers that it must be connected to Namu's absence from the area, so he wanders over to Shigaraki in an attempt to convince him that they need to leave, but Tamura just ignores it, underling to glare down at Izuku, where he then charges at Midoriya and screams at the top of his lungs, "You damn brat. I'll make you pay for destroying my Namu and keeping me from killing All Might. I'll turn you and your entire class to dust. No, better yet, I'll leave nothing left of anything or anyone here." Todoroki turns to Shigaraki, readying to use more ice when the teachers from UA arrive at the scene to take over. Acting first, Pro Hero Snipe shoots a hail of bullets at Tamura, severely injuring him to the point where he can't move, but luckily for Shigaraki, Kurogiri swoops in using his mist to provide temporary cover and opens a warp gate, successfully getting both of them out of the USJ without any further hindrances. From here on, the other teachers clear out the remainder of the villains with incredible ease as the paramedics get the severely injured to a hospital, and after the police take statements from the class before escorting them, along with the less injured, back to UA. Meanwhile, over with Shigaraki and Kurogiri as they arrive back to their hideout, Tamura falls out of the warp gate and lies on the floor screaming from not only his physical pain but his rage as well. During what essentially is a tantrum, the irate villain shouts at an on TV in the room, calling to his master about his failure when a calm voice emanates from the blank screen, both trying to soothe Tamura and to clarify exactly what happened. Shigaraki, still simmering with rage, yells out incoherent words while squirming on the ground, so Kurogiri answers for him and describes the severe injuries dealt to All Might as well as the destruction of Namu along with some other details, which is when the voice questions with an inquisitive tone, "I see. This is quite interesting. You say that All Might was terribly burnt, and yet the Namu I gave you had no such ability to do anything like that. Not only that, but apparently our masterpiece was also burnt to ash. How exactly did that happen?" This question gets Tamura's attention, causing him to start decaying the floor as he growls. "It was that damn green hair Pyro. One of those brats had a quirk that allowed him to make and control fire. If it weren't for him and his insane power, then we would have killed All Might easily. The only good thing was when he hurt All Might, but even then he's seriously pissed me off. I swear I'll kill him and every single student at UA for this. Shigaraki's limbs slam around with each attempt to get up as he also unleashing his anger on everything near him. During which the voice booms from the TV. Now it can't be helped. It's only natural that there would be an unexpected variable, but do not worry, this was by no means a futile effort. We've learnt quite a bit, not to mention that All Might will surely be out of commission permanently from now on thanks to his injuries, and it of course won't be much of an obstacle for you. So consider this a small victory. Tamura stops to look at the screen, getting some satisfaction from the knowledge that the symbol of peace isn't going to be much trouble, and continues to listen to his master. However, do not get overconfident. This was merely the first battle of a war to shape this world. Gather the villainous elite and take all the time you need to rebuild for your next move. With this small victory, you will undoubtedly become a symbol of your own, one that will strike fear into the hearts of many who once relied on All Might. Tamura Shigaraki used the events of today to make you the symbol of terror and bring this world to its knees. This gives Shigaraki a large twisted grin as he chuckles gleefully and replies, "The symbol of terror. That has a nice ring to it. Thank you, Master. I promise my next attack will be one that tears apart this hero society and everyone in it. But this time I'll ensure no one survives. Especially that brat." By this point, the unknown voice ends the call, leaving Shigaraki and Kurogiri to get started on the work ahead for their next move. Some time later, we join Izuku as he wakes up sore in UAS infirmary, completely perplexed about where he is, but once he looks around and sees Recovery Girl tending to Bakugo, who is laying on a neighboring bed. Ryu makes the connection that they're at UA. When Recovery Girl finishes her checkup on Kaken, she faces Izuku, giving him a kind smile before saying, "Ah, I see you've finally woken up, dear. I was wondering how long you'd be asleep. You sure wore yourself out with all that fighting. I hope you're feeling better." Ryu nods his head in response and tries to speak, but is able to utter a single phrase, only able to cough incessantly. As Recovery Girl sternly mentions, "Hold your horses there. Don't strain your voice more than it already is. You overused that quirk of yours, so you won't be able to talk for a few days, and thanks to being so dehydrated and nearly suffering a heat stroke, you'll most likely be pretty weak for a bit as well." Recovery Girl pauses to examine Izuku's IV before continuing, "You and your friend will be fine. Just don't exert yourselves any more than you already have." "All right. Anyway, I'm sure you have plenty of questions, so I'll go get the principal. He can inform you on everything that's going on." With that, Recover Girl leaves the infirmary for a few minutes until she finds Principal Nezu and brings him to see Izuku. When he walks in, Nezu hops onto a chair next to Midoriya and greets him while handing over a clipboard with a pencil to make it easier to ask questions, which Ryu proceeds to do by jotting down a few different things, pointing to the top one that asks how his class is doing, which Nezu answers, "Don't worry, all your fellow students are okay. In fact, you and Bakugo are the most injured. Everyone else has minor scrapes and bruises." Izuku then points to the next one, asking about the villains, which the principal lets him know that the leader escaped but happily informs him that the rest are in custody. Midoriya then points to the question asking about his teachers and All Might's condition, which Nezu reluctantly thinks for a second before stating, "Well, I regret to inform you that Toshinori and Aizawa are in the worst condition. 13 will make a swift recovery, but as for Mr. Aizawa, he has a completely shattered spine and may never be able to walk again. Though there's still a chance he can be healed, so don't count him out just yet." Before continuing on, Principal Nezu sits down with an apologetic expression on his face, shyly muttering, "As for All Might, I'm sorry to say, he is in critical condition. It's obvious he can no longer do hero work, and though he's stable now, there's no telling how much longer he'll have to live." At this, Ryu's face goes pale as he starts to weep from hearing of All Might's condition, but Nezu calmly tries to reassure Izuku by saying, "Yes, this is upsetting news, but please don't feel that it's because of what you did. Granted, your attack didn't help Toshinori. However, he was already deathly injured years ago, which made him so much weaker. And the fight against that bioengineered being definitely took a major toll on him. He'd probably be in the hospital no matter what." With an inquisitive look on his face, Izuku scribbles down how Nezu knows about his attack and that if anyone else knew, leading Nezu to reply, "I heard about it from some of your classmates. As for who else knows, that would be a special investigator. The rest of your class, and all the faculty members here at UA, but don't worry, we're keeping this hidden from the news. Multiple eyewitness accounts clearly prove that you weren't at fault for what happened. No one blames you." Shaking his head furiously, Izuku throws the clipboard aside and struggles to simply murmur, How can you say that? I fired my attack and hit All Might when I could have stopped it. No matter what, it's all my fault. Me, my awful quirk. I was an idiot for thinking I could be a hero. Ryu clenches his fists and cries, feeling ashamed of himself when Bakugo sits up and exclaims, "Yo dumbass, stop crying. I can't stand to see my so-called rival acting so pathetic." Izuku, Nezu, and Recovery Girl look at Kaken with confused glances as the short-tempered student keeps speaking. "Look, Ryu. Yeah, it was your fire that somehow hurt All Might. I don't know how in hell that could have happened, but I know it wasn't your damn fault. There's no way you lost control, so something must have messed with it." Principal Nezu then mentions that it was the Warp Gate villain that redirected Midoriya's projectile to hit All Might, which makes Bakugo scowl as he responds, "Seriously? That's the cheapest trick I've ever heard of. I get why you feel a bit ashamed about it now, Ryu. I'd hate it if someone pulled that on me, but stop beating yourself up over it already. It was clearly those punks who caused it, and besides, I'm willing to bet you're the only reason any of us made it out of there alive, so any bad you did has been repaid, got it?" Izuku just stares at Bakugo, taking in everything his friend has said when Nezu speaks up to say, "I fully agree with young Bakugo. I heard from many of your classmates that you discovered a way to neutralize the Namu. I must say, Izuku, I am immensely impressed by everything that I heard you did. You should be proud of yourself because you honestly and truthfully held up to the role of a hero, even after everything that happened." Ryu gives a slight smile to this and nods to thank them both for their kind words. Following this interaction, Kaken and Izuku are permitted to go home along with the rest of Class 1A. Though Bakugo is taken aside to be interviewed by a special investigator, Izuku is told that he'll be contacted in a few days to talk to the police once he's feeling better and is sent on his way. Otherwise, there's not much else that happens as Class 1A heads on home, bringing this insane day draws to an end. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. That's all for today's video. So goodbye and have a divine day.